Why are you so tense, god damn it?
Because I don't know what I'm doing!
Calm down.
Alright, hello everybody at Philly Kuts, giving you a report, my post-fight thoughts on the Paulie Malignaggi versus Adrien Broner battle. This was for the 147 WBA welterweight title, the fight in which Adrien Broner went up 2 weight classes, some say to avoid people like Matisse, harder opponents. So he went up and decided to fight the Magic Man, Paulie, who is not known for his power. Paulie has a record going into this fight. Let me see. Let me just check. It was 32-4 with only 7 KOs, 3 of which Paulie got in his first 3 fights. And he's only had something like 3 knockouts in the last 9 years. So Paulie, Pillow Hands, Malignaggi, as he's called by some, he's always had chronic hand problems. He's broke his hands a lot. He's required surgery on them. I mean, this guy really just is not known for his power. And it was something that was really to think about going into this fight, and it really became the tale of the fight. Paulie Malignaggi was much more active in this fight, if you ask me. He got on his bicycle and he kept riding and riding. Broner just seemed like he was waiting and waiting. The first 2 rounds, he just was very, very patient, was taking all that Malignaggi was throwing at him. Kind of reminded me of like a regular mosquito that you'd find here in New York, trying to pierce the armor of an elephant's hide. That's really what I kept thinking. It was just kind of like tink, 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 tink. I mean, Broner was just taking everything that Malignaggi got. He was teasing him. He was antagonizing him. This was in the beginning of the fight, talking a lot of trash, you know, just saying, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. And I got to give Paulie a lot of credit. I mean, he never backed down from Broner. He stayed right up in there. He took some good shots. But on the other hand, Broner never really seemed to hurt Malignaggi at all. I mean, he threw a couple left hands that really sent Paulie's head back a little bit, but Paulie was never stunned in the fight. He was never in trouble. If anything, I thought that Paulie, looked, he was just a more active fighter. He's the one that made it interesting. I really don't know what Broner was trying to do in this fight. I mean, if it was so evident through, the beginning of the fight and pretty much all throughout the fight, to tell you the truth, that Malignaggi couldn't hurt Broner, then why didn't Broner go in for the knockout? I just don't understand. I don't know if he's trying to emulate Mayweather still and trying to just, put on a defensive clinic somehow, but he just, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that it was that great of a victory for Broner. I mean, it was nothing that was very convincing. It was nothing that made me want to say, oh my God, I got to see Broner's next fight. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Malignaggi, I guess his game plan was to throw a lot of punches, try to get some scoring on the scorecards, and it worked. I mean, the 3 judges, it was a split decision. It ended up being a split decision. 115-113. The first judge scored it for Broner, 115-113 for Malignaggi, and then the final judge, 117-111. I would have scored it, and I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, and people are going to be hating on me, and if I factor in the horseplay, okay, that Broner was doing, let me see, what round was it? I believe it was in the second round. He tried to kick Paulie in his nuts. That was not an accident, that on a referee break. He was trying to hit Malignaggi in his nuts, kick him, and there was no point deduction or anything. It was blatant. And then there was another time later on, I think it was in the 5th or 6th, where Broner tried. It was in the 5th, 2 rounds later, where Broner tried to flail his elbows upon a break and try to hit Malignaggi with an elbow to the face. Blatant. I think he could have been deducted 2 points, and if I would have factored in that, I would have had this fight a draw. That's the way I was really looking at it. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. So Broner gets the victory. in my book. Even though Malignaggi's punches never hurt Broner, he was the one that was active. He was the one that was bringing the fight to Broner. I mean, Broner did an excellent job cutting off the ring, but it just wasn't electrifying. I mean, I honestly believe that I felt like almost that Broner was toying with him to the point of excess, or I just kept waiting. I'm like, all right, come on, Adrien, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? And he didn't do much. I mean, he just was able to absorb a lot of shots, and like Malignaggi said at the end of the fight, in his spots, he looked really good. But I don't know what he was trying to prove. Like that maybe he was trying to prove that I don't even have to put in 50% to win this fight against Malignaggi. Maybe so, but that's not putting on a show. I mean, people want to see a knockout, you know? There was bad blood between these two leading up to this fight. Twitter battles, the press conference was very heated. At some points, it got X-rated. They're talking about a girl that each one of them used to have sex with, and it just got very distasteful. I thought Broner was distasteful in this fight right from the beginning. I mean, right from the beginning, he came in with a rapper. I don't know who it was. And the rapper kept repeating, I'm not going to say it, but he kept repeating, N-word, I ain't got nothing to worry about, or N-word, I ain't worried about nothing, N-word, I ain't worried about nothing. That's what he kept repeating while Broner was making his entrance into the ring, all dressed up in gold. It was very distasteful. Paulie came into the ring. He looked pretty cool. I thought he kind of had a Call of Duty, the ghost that's coming out. He kind of had a bandana that had a skull on it, like a bottom of a skull, and it had his eyes. It looked really cool. It looked very, very intimidating. It looked nice. I really liked it. But Broner was just very distasteful, and he was dirty throughout that fight. It just was really distasteful. And I know that the guy has the skill not to have to do that. And that's what makes it even more distasteful. Like, why do you have to do that? I understand maybe if you're trying to emulate Mayweather in a sense of being the bad guy or being the villain. But even Mayweather, I don't think, would stoop that low or has ever stooped that low. And it just is very distasteful. It almost seemed like at the end of this fight that these guys were going to make amends. Paulie, came over, congratulated him. This was before we knew who won, but Paulie came over to Broner's corner. They hugged. Malignaggi playfully, gently hit Broner on the side of his face with the glove. It kind of seemed like they were squashing things. And then once Broner started getting interviewed, he starts running his mouth again. And just, I'm so good and this and that. And, Malignaggi never, no humility, no being humble. I mean, even when Mayweather, Mayweather can talk and he's great at playing the villain up to the fight, up to maybe sometimes even during the fight. But once the fight ends, at least lately, at least the Mayweather of late, Mayweather shuts it off, okay? And then you start to see the true Mayweather that I think is the true Mayweather, who really deep down I don't think is a bad guy at all. I don't. I think he does a lot of good things for people. He does a lot of good things for charity. Problem is with this Broner guy, and he's 23, he's young, I'll give him that. But the problem is that he doesn't know when to shut it off. When you don't know when to shut off that persona and being that punk, it's not good, man. It's just not good, and it's not creating a fan in me. It's creating maybe I want to see people kick his ass. That's maybe. So maybe it's working in that sense. All right, I give you credit. Mayweather's the master at that. Okay, so again, he's emulating Mayweather. But it just, you got to learn when to shut it off, bro. And then Paulie stoops down to Broner's level again, interrupts Broner's match because they start talking about a girl again. He's like, oh, you took my sloppy seconds. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And then Malignaggi even went so far to say that the fight was fixed. He said that, I forget which judge's name. It was the New York judge. I forget which one it was. I apologize. But he said that, him and Broner were in tight together, and that's why he won the fight. Showtime announcer called him out on it. He's like, "Are you saying, Paulie, that that the fight was fixed?" And then Paulie kind of tried to reword it. Remember, he has to worry about being on Showtime as well. He's been doing commentating. But then Paulie tries to reword it. Well, I'm not saying that, but you know how this sport is, that the fighter that has the most political connections, now this might not be verbatim, but to this effect, but the fighter that has the most political connections is the one that always wins. I don't know how he could have taken this fight in the home, in the home crowd of, I'm from Brooklyn, this is my hometown. You got to take the champ out in order to win, in order for the belt to go, and it just got ugly again. I don't know if Malignaggi's trying to stir up the pot again for a rematch. I don't know what the point would be. I kind of see it as a repeat performance. I mean, Malignaggi just doesn't have the power. He just didn't have the power. That was the whole story of this fight. Malignaggi was great in the fact that he was active. He tried and tried. He threw tons and tons of punches. He wasn't afraid of Broner. He didn't run away from Broner. But he just didn't. I mean, everything was absorbed. Everything was absorbed. Like I said, Broner did win the fight. However, the caveat for me is if you factored in the point deductions, which I think that he should have gotten, I would have given it a draw to them. But c'est la vie. That's the way the cookie crumbled in this one. All right, man, it's been Philly Kuts. Thanks for watching my post-fight thoughts from a casual fan. Great. I don't know anything about boxing. Whatever, man. I love the sport, though. Peace. Thanks for watching Philly Kuts. The blood